Hello, how you doing and welcome back to the channel. Well, I didn't see this one coming. Justin Tipuric and Alun Jones have retired from international rugby with immediate effect. Both players were in Warren Gatland's wider World Cup squad, the training squad that they would go forward into the next few months before he selected the smaller squad ahead of the World Cup in France. But they've both retired today. What do we make of this news? Where has this come from? What is going on behind the scenes? I guess all we can do really at this moment in time is speculate, but I will go into all of that really in this video. So make sure you drop a comment down below. What do you make of this news? And also, they're both Welsh greats, but I think in particular for Alun Jones, one of the great players we've ever seen in the game, really. I'll get into all of that. Like the video, also subscribe to the channel, but let's get into it. So first of all, the news came through earlier this afternoon that Justin Tipuric was retiring with immediate effect, and then the news about Alun Jones coming shortly after that, which I think has just taken everyone by surprise, really. And both of these guys, for a long time now, have been staples of that Welsh team. They've been two pillars of the success that Wales have had under Warren Gatland in his first stint as coach. With all the Six Nations titles they won, how deep they went into World Cups without necessarily, I know, getting to a final or winning it. But for Wales, they were a threat at a number of World Cups they played at. And if we want to look at the stats in particular, let's look at Alun Jones, because 158 Wales caps. He's got 12 caps for the British and Irish Lions as well. He's played in, 5 World Cups, 5 Six Nations titles, 3 Six Nations Grand Slams. He has done it all. He has been a giant of the game and is, I think, genuinely one of the legends of the sport in the modern era, really. When you look at his resume, you look at what he's achieved for Wales, all those Lions tours, all those World Cups, how good he was as a player. It's a sad in a way that his retirement has kind of come out of the blue and he maybe hasn't had a final swan song, but you know, this is the way these things go sometimes, I suppose. And Russ Petty, actually, the statistician, had a great stat on Twitter, which was between, I think it was 1881 and 2023. In that time period, Alun Jones has played in 20% of Wales's test matches, which is just absolutely bonkers, but goes to highlight just the longevity of his career. And, you know, that career has been played at an incredibly high level. A captain on Lions tours, the captain for Wales, brilliant player. And Justin Tipuric, as I say, was another one of those key players in that Welsh team, was incredibly agile, athletic in that back row. I think he'll, in terms of a game, he'll be most remembered for will be that, was it the 2012, 2013 match in Cardiff when England went in there looking for the Grand Slam and got absolutely blown away by Wales, who ended up winning the title because they turned over the points deficit they needed to. But again, just another guy who has done so much in the game. But we can't talk about this news without questioning what is going on here. As I said already in the intro, they were in Warren Gatland's 54-man squad, or however big it was for his wider World Cup training squad. And now the news has come out that they're retiring from international rugby with immediate effect. Now, Alun Jones, in the statement that he put on Instagram, said that following discussions with the coaches, he's basically decided to retire now. So what have those conversations been? And does this show that Warren Gatland has essentially said to those guys, look, at the World Cup, we have an eye on the future. We would probably quite like you there maybe for experience. I don't think he would necessarily have turned around and said, you're never going to be part of the squad, but some of you might disagree below. I've seen some people saying on social media that this suggests Warren Gatland has already told Alun Jones and Justin Tipuric they wouldn't be part of his 33-man squad. I wouldn't quite go that far, because I don't think he'd have him in the wider training squad if they weren't in contention for selection. But does it suggest that Warren Gatland has said to both of those guys, look, you're probably still be in my plans, I want your experience, but we are going to start evolving this team forward and moving on from the World Cup rather than trying to move on following the World Cup. That was always the thing with Wales, wasn't it? A lot of selection videos I did around the Six Nations, and kind of even back in the autumn as well, was how do Wales turn this squad over to bring through the youth but still get the balance of experienced guys in there. That's something they've massively struggled with, both at the end of Wayne Pivac's reign and at the start of Warren Gatland's second term in charge. And I just wonder whether it means at the World Cup in France, they're going to be looking for youth. They're going to be looking to develop the team rather than necessarily looking to make major inroads into this World Cup. Maybe they're hoping to put themselves in a better position down the line. And maybe Justin Tipuric and Alun Wyn-Jones looked at that and they weren't happy with it. I don't know, that's just a theory, but to me it would go some way in explaining why the decision has come now, because I can't imagine for either of these guys their ideal situation would have been heading into this World Cup at the end of the domestic season when they've been named in the training squads to then all of a sudden announce their retirement from international rugby. Is this really the way both of those players would have wanted to do it? I would have thought not, but only they will ever know. And it is a shame, as I say, that they don't get a little bit more of a send-off for the careers that they've had, although I've got absolutely no doubt that they will get recognised in the appropriate fashion. The other thing we have to mention as well with this is the state of the domestic game. What has everything that's happened within Wales, with the threat of strike action before the England game in the Six Nations, with the agreement between the union and the clubs and the salary cap and all that sort of stuff, which has forced a lot of players out of the game, what has that meant specifically for Justin Tipuric and for Alun Wyn-Jones? Does it mean that they kind of looked at their options and they weren't happy moving forward and decided they therefore wanted to retire from Wales? Now, I don't know, because I think it's just international rugby they've retired from. But again, that's something else that maybe you guys can have your say in the comments down below about what you think that might be, any impact of what we're seeing in Welsh rugby. But again, it hasn't been a good day for Welsh rugby. There have been many of those in recent memory and recent history. This has been another big shock. It calls into question as well a lot of Warren Gatland's team selections, I think, in the Six Nations, where Tipuric and Alun Wyn-Jones came in, were left out of squads, were on the bench as replacements. It almost seemed like he didn't quite know where those guys fitted into his team, and now they're not going to be part of that team as well. And Wales have just gone, in the matter of a space of an hour or so, they've lost, 250 international caps? And that's going to have an impact on any team. Look, we know Wales are in a transition anyway, that they are moving forward. This all just seems really strange, though, and I will be incredibly intrigued to see what comes out in the days, months, weeks to come, whether we ever hear any more about this, and specifically those conversations that happened. Warren Gatland, to be fair to him, I've always thought is quite honest with fronting up and explaining these sorts of situations. So when he speaks, maybe we'll get a little bit more information on exactly what happened and what those conversations were. But Justin Tipuric and Alun Wyn-Jones retired from international rugby with immediate effect. I guess I'll finish the video probably in a similar vein to what I started it. I know there's been a lot of speculation in this video because it has all come as a bit of a shock. We don't fully know all the reasons behind it. But let's just remember once more what brilliant players these guys have been. Nailed on starters in the peaks of their career for the British and Irish Lions, part of a sensational Welsh team, and we should all remember that. And I know we will all remember that, but it does also bring the question mark of where do Wales go from here? Because I think going into the World Cup, I just don't know. I'm not sure at this moment in time. We'll see what happens with the rest of the squad. Make sure you leave a comment down below, like the video and subscribe to the channel as well. I'm sure I've probably missed some other bits I wanted to get through, but I wanted to get reaction up as quickly as possible because this is big news in the world of international rugby. I look forward to reading your comments, and I'll see you in the next one.